Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, I just want to kind of put it out there right now that this probably isn't going to be necessarily the usual format of my videos, but I absolutely had to just drop everything I was doing and make a video on this because I was working on the part 2 to my original video, just kind of reviewing, giving the groundwork for what the heck Brighter Shores is, but also I was working on a little project in between to get out because I have a lot to say about the paid stuff for Brighter Shores Part 2. But I mean, this is all the same. I kind of said that this was probably going to happen, or it should happen, and it actually is happening. So we're just taking a moment. We're just looking through the Steam update here. Well, it's not actually updated. It's just that, hey, here is, as the title suggests, our plan to merge the combat professions. We are planning on making some changes to how combat how combat progression works in Brighter Shores. We know that changing a core system can be controversial, but having per episode combat professions is putting off new players. I could kind of agree with this. This is very much something that I'm just trying to find the best way to put it. It's almost like you're always starting over, and I don't mind that with some elements, but kind of what I said in my original video about foraging, just make a big foraging level that goes through all the episodes. And this is what it seems like they're going to be doing with the combat, in which it's going to follow through all the episode. It is just one rank, which, I mean, all right, great. You can go back to other areas and grind smaller and lesser XP filled little goblins just so you'll be able to level your character up. But also they have an interesting thing they're going to be doing with that, which I think this is a good fix to really still stick with the Brighter Shores idea, kind of what the team was going for. Now I will just say this isn't set in stone, as it may change if we find problems whilst implementing it, but this is the plan currently, and I think right now the plan is solid. I really see that, okay, this makes sense, this could work. The monsters in the early episodes will be low level, and as you progress through the episodes, the level of monsters will slowly increase. This I get. Now, I haven't really, spent so much time in the other two parts of the game, the mine of Mantabon and then Chronopolis. Those two, like, I'm just scratching the surface of the mine of Manbuns, and just finding this out, it's kind of crazy. I'm less motivated to do it because I know, the combat level is just going to all be crammed together. But I mean, obviously I still want to progress in it, but finding this out, I just really wanted to talk about it, to throw it out here. Let's see here. We clearly can't make the monsters levels increase by 500 each episode. That would make the game way too difficult. Base monsters in episode 1 will be level 0 to 30, episode 2, 30 to 60, episode 3, 60 to 100, and then episode 4, 100 to 140. And then it kind of has a little chart here where it shows, hey, this is kind of what we plan to do with the it's a real simple chart, but this is where things get really interesting, because I thought, okay, so you're just going to have to constantly be progressing the levels of these monsters, but what about the systems you had in place for picking different monsters based on where they were, right? Like the different types of ghouls. Yeah, there's a ghoul that's recommended for level 30s, but there's also a ghoul that recommended for level 40s. So this is their suggestion. This is their answer to this problem as they're trying to change things and fix up the good old-fashioned combat. The end game mechanic. However, in the meantime, we don't want players to run out of combat, so once you have reached the combat level cap of a current episode, we will have an end game mechanic, where excess combat levels will instead be used to increase the level of that episode's obelisks. So obelisks, and I don't really even think I talked about this in my video because it only serves one purpose, and the purpose is kind of leaning on the smaller end, but all these sudden changes, I mean, I'm kind of glad I didn't add it, because the purpose of the obelisk was for you to take pieces of gear that need attuned and you slap it on here, and obviously you tune it. Obviously you just go right ahead and unlock the piece of gear, and then at that point you are able to use that piece of gear. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. Most of the times it's worse. The kind of loot drop system that the game has still isn't perfect, and it shows in this. Leveling up an obelisk causes the obelisk to further boost your combat whilst you are in the same episode as the obelisk. So it seems like every episode is going to have its base combat level. Once it hits a point, you're going to start leveling up the obelisk to continue forward in that area if you so choose. The episode 1 obelisk will be able to gain up to 470 levels. Episode 2 will also be able to gain 470 levels. And honestly, looking at this now, I'm not even 100% sure what all this mumbo jumbo means. I don't fully get it because I'm a dumb and I don't really understand gamer talk. But at the same time, this is really interesting to me, and I'm really excited that they're already having a plan to implement change, because I could really see Brighter Shores starting to drop off with people if the combat level and some stuff stayed the same. And I'm glad we're not doing that anymore. Weapons and armor will work in a similar way. Each weapon and armor will have a base level. Your player's combat level must be at least as high as the weapon's level to wield it. That makes sense, right? Certain level for certain weapons. The monsters in episode 1 will drop levels 0 to 30 weapons. Episode 2 drop 30 to 60, etc. So it seems like the monster drops are also going to be tied to episodes, unless you are maybe increasing the level of your obelisk. That I'm not 100% sure. If a weapon has a tuning level that you will also need to have upgraded the weapon and armor proficiency, and see the upgrade tree section below. This is another thing I was super excited about. Oh, and weapon crafting. Now this will come up in my video about weapon crafting in the mines of man buns, but I'll just give a very short synopsis of it right here. It'll be easier to craft weapons for certain episodes compared to other episodes, just while they're initially implementing this. This is kind of what I understood from this. You will be able to wield untuned weapons. They just won't gain a boost from any obelisk until tuned. And I'm sitting here stammering because this weapon crafting system, I do have some stuff to say about it, and I would rather really save it for my video. So if you are interested in that, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe, comment on me being a piece of crap, and also like the video. All right, moving on. Level scaling. As we launch later episodes with their higher level caps and higher level weapons, players will also be able to bring those higher levels and weapons back to earlier episodes. If we aren't careful, they will be able to complete the endgame content and side quests of those earlier episodes far too easy. So I understand this. There's got to be a balancing act. There has to be some form of balance. There has to be some form of, implementing this in a way that isn't going to totally demolish their game. It's not going to break their game. And I don't want that to happen, because I really like Brighter Shores. I've been jumping in between this and RuneScape. Actually playing Brighter Shores on one screen and doing some other content with RuneScape on the other screen. But also, this also means there will no longer be the need for the easy combat penalty when fighting low-level monsters, because of how it's going to change. So here it is, the combat upgrade tree. I love games that have skill trees and the ability to customize your character and actually have a build. Brighter Shores didn't really have that, and I didn't really talk much about this because there wasn't anything necessary. Pretty much the game was just you attack with certain weapons and their stats, and that's why I was saying in my initial video, something's got to change. This is going to be redone. This is going to be remade. We really need to. I don't know. I didn't even have the answer for it, but this isn't what I expected. But I really like this idea. This is just a mock-up right here, according to the devs, and it'll probably differ in the final version, but in addition to existing upgrades as listed above, there are all sorts of other upgrades we can put on the upgrade trees to make them more interesting. Ideas we are considering include increasing your hit point regeneration speed. I love that. Increasing your off-faction weapon armor proficiency, so you can wield off faction items. I also like that. So you're telling me that I can actually use a weapon or something from a different class? Okay, I'm all on board for that. How fast you move during combat, maximum ammo. I really like that. I even had a thought with the ranged combat. Why don't we kind of take a mechanic from common like shooters where a lot of times you have a grenade button and you'll throw a grenade, like Destiny 2. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. And it's on a cooldown, but the grenade comes back. You don't need to get another grenade. Why don't we do that with the ranged weapons? You shoot a few arrows, then you start hitting, and then, oh my, I have 2 arrows now. So then you take a few steps back and you start firing away. I like that. I like these changes. I'm excited for this. This was a part that I was kind of interested in. Existing save games conversion. When updating existing save games made prior to this update, I'm going to read it here and see if you can actually understand what they're saying, because I kind of struggle with, do you mean this or do you mean this? For each per episode combat level you have, levels up to the level cap for that episode will be assigned to your combat level, and any excess levels will automatically be assigned to the corresponding obelisk level. Existing weapons will be converted in a similar way. Each weapon will be given a level plus tuning level, which together sum to the same level that the weapon had prior to the update. Levels up to the level cap for the weapons episode will go into the weapon level, and the remaining levels will go into the tuning level. Do you get why I'm confused? What did I just read? I don't understand what that just meant. But I like what they're doing. I'm excited for this. This has filled my loins with a new lust for this game, because it's going to improve it. It's going to get better. Definitely. It's going to get better. And then we have some leaderboard nonsense. And then right here, obviously the future, they want to make a bunch of additions, and also they want to include special attacks, more varied opponents, group combat, raids, group combat and raids. I'm excited for that. I love that kind of stuff. And I actually hope they have more raids than in RuneScape, where it's like you have a whopping 2 raids and that's it. So for the too lazy didn't read portion of this, what were we to gain from this? What were we to glean? I can tell you right now that combat's going to change. It's going to very much so change the way the game is played, in a sense that it's going to be different. I think it's going to bring in more players, and some of the players that were turned off were going to, well, they are going to come back, or they might come back. I can't say that for sure, but I think these ideas are really solid, and obviously there are a number of people. They are people who know how to make games, and I'm just interested to see where they go with it. I was just very excited about the combat tree. I friggin' love skill trees. I'm a basic bitch. I just like my skill tree. If there's a game with a skill tree in it and it actually provides some build diversity, I'm all about it. I'll play the same game over and over and just do different builds, because there's something broken in me and I just don't know if it can be fixed. But for right now, it's being duct taped and patched together with skill trees. And I like the setup here. I know this is a rough draft, a mock-up of the upgrades, but I think this could be really cool. And obviously, if there's a mechanic where it has to be touching, you can't just pick a random one. I don't know. I'm just gushing over this. I'm excited. I don't have anything else to say. As I said, my videos aren't necessarily going to be like this all the time, but if something happens, I really want to just stop everything and be like, yo, check this cool stuff out. Thank you for watching the video. If you did enjoy what you saw, like, subscribe, comment, all the stuff to do. And until next time, take care of yourselves.